Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Coffee and Crypto. Got a real treat for you guys all today. Recently at Blu Ocean Games Guild, we did a play test for Golden Tides. This is a Web3 MOBA that we are just having so much fun with. I got a chance to meet with Mason there last week, had a fantastic chat. Thanks so much for joining us today, Mason.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And it was super awesome to host you guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having many more in the near future here.
Yeah.
So before we give it all away, because I want to just tell everyone what's so great about this project, why don't you give us a little background on, how long have you guys been doing this and what was the inspiration behind the MOBA genre? And I'll add one more piece to that. You're doing things a little bit differently than most MOBAs. So would you mind kind of explaining how the questing works and the ships and just kind of get right into it?
Yeah. Well, I'll jump into what the game is a little bit, which is a battle royale MOBA type. We're kind of creating our own new genre. This is a game where you build a team and you enter a fantasy pirate world looking for treasure, except for the treasure is real, which is the quick pitch I usually give to people. We chose MOBA because it actually allows us to get the game more compatible with more computers. Like older systems can actually run it because we don't have to load the graphics in the distance. So, like newer games that look like more in the third person, first person perspective instead of the top down, it takes a little bit more computing power. So we're trying to think on scale on like how to accommodate for people, as well as like there's a chess element when you're in the top down view when you can see all around you. It's more like looking at a chessboard rather than like freaking around, freaking out, looking around, trying to find where you're being shot from. So we think that the game actually becomes more like available to people who aren't actually like hardcore gamers. They could enjoy this game more because a lot of times you enter in those like first person shooters, third person shooters, and you just get like killed. And it's not, if you're not a gamer, it's gonna be really difficult to transition into that. So like that's really why we chose the MOBA genre. It doesn't really hold us back. If you think about League of Legends, Dota, these are some of the biggest games in the world. So it's not like this isn't going to really change too much. We just have to make a fun game that looks beautiful.
That's awesome. Now, how about the Web3 stuff? What gave you guys that inspiration? Why did you decide to go down this route? And also, how long ago did you guys kind of start? When did you put this all together?
Well, we began the process about 2 years ago, and it's like for the Web3 and gaming journey here that we've begun. The My brother actually wanted to do Web3 gaming back when CryptoKitties was like really getting
Oh,
going, and this might have been like 2018. And he found someone named Samuel who he was going to work with, and they started like a little bit of that pre-production discussion. But then Samuel got a
mhm.
job offer that he said he couldn't turn down, and he left. But then in 2020, during the peak of COVID, um, Samuel came back and
Oh,
he
okay.
called my brother and he said, "Hey, remember you wanted to do blockchain video games? Well, the guy that hired me 2 years ago, he wants to do those, and I'd like to introduce you to him so you guys can connect." And that person was Harrison, and Harrison is the founder of Fleek.xyz. It's a decentralized internet network, and
Mhm.
so Harrison and my brother connected, and my brother, had a couple ideas, and he ran them by Harrison on what he was thinking on how you can, maximize Web3. And one of the ideas, we had alternate ones like a bounty hunting game and a like sports trading card type game. But we've been working on Golden Tides now only. But the one of those ideas was, there's no better use case of crypto than creating a digital treasure, right? Where you can actually discover something of value in a video game and it's right there in front of you. So like that's kind of what sent us down the pirate path. And then the details of like being a MOBA and what art style and all these things developed from that point. So then Devin, after him and Harrison came to an agreement that they wanted to start something, we started working on Metasports and Golden Tides, and that was about about 2 years ago we started Golden Tides, but 2.5 years ago we met Harrison.
That's awesome. Great. Well, for anyone, watching this, as you guys know, for us at Blu Ocean Games Guild, we're an esports focused Web3 game guild. So, the moment we started talking, you said MOBA, it piqued my interest right away. But I think one thing that I really loved and I thought was quite interesting, especially when I was looking into the project, was how the ships worked.
Mhm.
Like how you can lose your ship and there's a 10% rake
Mhm.
that goes to the winning team. What was the inspiration behind that to have kind of a high intensity competitive aspect to the game? And I'm really curious to kind of hear why you guys decided on that because I freaking love it.
I love that you're saying that because it's been a big discussion currently in the studio, and I'll elaborate on that. But essentially, we're trying to use Web3 to enhance our game mechanics. So we were like, how can we actually get it to feel like a pirate experience, right? Whether you're the pirate or the victim of the pirate, it needs to have, you need to create that level of intensity, as you said. So when you put an asset at risk that actually has some value to you, then then it starts to feel like you're actually being pirated or you're pirating. So like the whole purpose of that is actually to create the sensation of pirates. How do you add
Mm,
real like excitement and like that win loss feeling is just even greater inside of you. However, we are likely to alter that plan a little bit by adding attachments to ships. This way, the ship is more of a, just
okay.
of a cosmetic, and your attachments are lost when you're defeated.
Oh,
And
okay.
that like you lose the attachment to the team that sank you, and then instead of having to pay 10%, you just lose your attachment, and then like you can keep your cosmetic because you might lose a round, but you don't want to lose the ship that you're sailing on.
I see.
It might be part of your identity, and we don't want to actually like take people's identity. So we're going to create these like lesser valued items than the cosmetics
Mm,
that are more easily exchangeable, and this kind of also like prevents people from like the pay to win and all some other things. So it's a lot of it is in discussion and development, but like there will be an element that we use Web3 to create the pirating experience, and that's like the main purpose, and I think that's what you loved about it in the first place.
yes. Absolutely, I really did. I just thought that was super unique, and I like what you're saying about player's identity and maybe having the attachments, with
Yeah.
the cosmetic
So like
display because
our cosmetic items are like how you become like a defining character to yourself, right? Like we have
Mhm,
hats, pets, mounts, skins, and ships, those five to start the game. And like if you design your character and you are very good at the game and you play, like eventually there'll be like server elos and stuff. People start to recognize you, and it's like, oh, there's that pirate. Like, and it's kind of like when you see the flags flying, you're like, oh no, it's Buggy the Clown. They gotta get out of here. Like, you know.
mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked for that. There's two other things right off the top of my head. I'll just kind of tackle one of them first is the way that you guys set up the quests and kind of that to me was super unique. It wasn't just this one team versus one team. We've got multiple teams, almost like Pub Mobile or Fortnite, kind of like a ton of players, and you're all rushing to do these quests. Where did that inspiration come from? Because I think that's brilliant.
It's just something I developed over time. Like, when the game was being built with PvP and all this stuff in mind, like you still need an objective, right? Where Fortnite's objective is to survive and it's a battle royale. Ours is like we call it Adventure MOBA
Okay.
Royale, Adventure Royale, whatever you want to like, we want to call our genre in the end. But it is a system where up to 32 teams of four will enter, and it's more like a tournament brackets, and each
Yeah.
bracket is like two quests will always lead to the next to the same ending point, which forces two
Okay.
teams to enter into one quest. They're each doing a half
Mhm.
of it, and they will intersect at some point, or one is it's a race and someone will beat the other person, but it's always designed to like force you to intersect, and then you go down the line, and as you go through, the 32 teams will go down to 16 teams, then it'll go down to 8 teams, and there's just quest lines you have to go. But just because you didn't win in the early brackets doesn't mean you're out of the game. You just have to go steal the item that the quest is attached to get back into the game.
Okay.
Another way to force people into being a pirate, right? Because pirates have to
Yeah.
steal stuff. So like, everything we do is trying to create this pirate element, pirate vibe, and like this was just kind of like a quest racing tournament battle royale type thing. You go down the line, and your team can only be eliminated if your ship is sunk. So
I feel like
you're always in the
you're
game.
fighting Yeah, and you're redefining the genre a little bit. Like, it's not just your typical MOBA. It's like this questing MOBA, RPG, kinda all mixed together. Maybe RPG is not even the right term, like
Yeah.
action RPG. I really like how you
I
guys have done that. I think it's very unique.
My analogies are kind of like you explore a world like World of Warcraft, you play like Overwatch, your camera angle is like League of Legends, but the game pacing is like Fortnite. You
Nice,
know,
there you
like
go.
these are the things that like very much like similar. Like, you know, it's preset moves for heroes, kind of like, you know, League and Overwatch, and then but like it's ASWD controls, not click to control,
Yeah,
like to move, because we felt like it's more intuitive and more like fluid if you just let people just have full autonomy over their character.
I do like that quite a bit. And it's one of the things that's, really stood out to me when we first connected, especially with your studio. We have looked at 3,200 different play to earn projects, and that number is obscene. We have hundreds of full investment and reports on these titles. You guys took a move that I really admire. You didn't just bootstrap your entire project by releasing all these NFTs with the promise to deliver later, because I think a lot of people in this industry are past that, but we all kind of had to learn the hard way, so to speak. And because you guys have been developing for so long, you obviously made that decision a long time ago. First 2 parts to this question. Was it tempting to just make a bunch of NFTs to raise more money? Because obviously that would help you with development. And why did you ultimately decide not to do that and focus just on the development side of things and move that forward first?
Yeah, I think this comes down to having a partner like Harrison, who is the person who is invested in my brother and I to build this. And from the beginning, he said, "Make the best product." He didn't really give us much instructions. He just said, "Make it me proud" type of way, right? So, and
Yeah.
he provided us with enough money to build it our way. And luckily, my brother and I had
Awesome.
been building relationships overseas for years before this, to so in case
Mhm.
this opportunity ever came, we were ready. So we
Nice.
took the budget and we stretched it really far, and we were like, we're going to make a AAA game like we always wanted to, and we'll make it around Web3. But Web3 has never
Mhm.
been our focus. It's about making the best game possible, and we just always had that like make the best game. And like we went with traditional gaming business models. It's not like Fortnite sold us the skins, then made the game, right? We're
Right.
just like we're not doing anything different than the titans of gaming industry. They made their games first, then made them popular, and we're willing to take that risk. And we don't want to extract value from people who have nothing to do with this. They have no ownership in our stuff. It's like, it's like if you like it, then you'll buy it, right? Same with basketball
Yes.
cards, Pokemon cards. If you like Pokemon, you buy Pokemon cards. It's not like you buy the cards and then hope the video game is good. It gets a little convoluted when you do it that way. And then
It
you
really
know then you have people who are impatiently waiting, and that's a lot of pressure that we don't want to have to deal with. So, we've always thought that like we're going to make the most fun game. We are gamers making games for gamers, so we know that it's going to be good. I mean, we believe it. Um,
Oh, it is. I played it,
yeah,
and it's in alpha. I already know it's good. Like, we play test a ton of different games. We help a lot of different projects with that. That's something that we really do focus on. And, I knew from our first conversation, we wanted to try it. But we're very critical of the games we play in this space because there is a lot of things like that. I mean, 33% of those 3,200 projects are gone at this point. And a lot of them raised a lot of money by selling a bunch of NFTs ahead of time. And it's kind of a mixed bag. Some were just cash grabs, but it's like any industry that's new. I mean, look at when the internet was first in inception. A lot of people forget there's actually 50 different protocols,
right.
and then TCP became the one that kind of came out on top. So it's really cool for us to see the industry evolve. But I like that you guys had that foundation and took that conviction early on instead of just following kind of the pack or the herd,
Yeah,
trying to extract a bunch of value from your community members and then promising to deliver later. I think that's very honorable and authentic. And that's definitely something that I know a lot of people when I've talked to in our research team, when they've looked into you, they're like, oh, they're doing it like we've learned projects need to do it now, but they knew this years ago. Right. So I
yeah.
just think that's really cool. guys took that direction. It shows a lot of passion on your guys' end. I mean, and obviously you want to make the best product you can because that's how you're going to succeed, in this industry. What have you guys thought about the whole Web 2, Web 3 bridging that gap? Are you going to be strictly Web 3 and focus on that ecosystem? Is there going to be a free to play version? What are you guys thinking about for that?
Well, the best thing is that the way we want to do it is going to combine them in a way where you don't even know you're doing Web3.
Nice.
When you come to our
Nice.
game, you have to make an account. Regardless of Web
Hmm.
2 or Web 3, you have to make an account. That automatically gets you in the game, and you can interact with the game just like Fortnite. You go to our store, you buy stuff, it goes into your inventory, and you don't even know that you just bought a minted an NFT because in the background, it just minted to the team wallet. It's not in your wallet because you never connected a wallet. So whenever you're
Okay.
interacting, we just hold your assets for you. You can now do everything a Web 2 game can do. You can transact in the in-game marketplace. You can collect the doubloons, spend the doubloons. You can interact and exchange your stuff. The only thing you cannot do if you don't connect a wallet is actually get out of the game, right? You can't take your doubloons to turn to Ethereum or whatever else you can exchange for unless you connect a wallet, and you have to do that on your own. So we give you
Hmm.
the option after you created an account to connect a wallet, and then you can like control your assets, do whatever if you want to do Web3. But if not, you can still like sell your Sharky skin for your Harrison skin, like to buy a new Harrison skin. Like you don't have. It's not like Fortnite where you're stuck with the skins once you buy them,
Okay.
right? Like we want
Yeah.
people to be able to constantly keep it going, and we don't actually want anyone to ever have to leave the game to interact with the marketplace. So we're going to have an auction
Mm.
house, just like World of Warcraft had an auction house. We're going to do the same thing.
Yep.
You just list it and people will buy it, but it's all done in our in-game token, in the utility token doubloons. So really the idea is don't change anything from like these big PvP games that they sell cosmetics and all these things. Don't change anything about their business model except for the fact that people can exchange their cosmetics and there's limited supply.
I really like what you mentioned about the auction house and not kind of forcing people to go off app because we know the moment you send someone away from the game, that can be an issue, right?
Yep.
This is not you want to keep everything kind of clean and I know that that's a big challenge for a lot of games right now is like, well, we want them to go to the marketplace because we can program that and do that easier. And it's like, well, if you bring it into the game, you've got this wholesome experience kind of locked in just to within that. That's ultimately better for player interaction because really you want that more playtime within the game. You don't want to be sending people away. And I also think there's a bit of a challenge depending on what you're playing, right? Whether it's PC or console or
Right.
mobile. Obviously, that's a whole different element with the marketplace. I noticed that auction section on the website too. I thought that was quite clever. I really like how you guys are going in that direction. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the roadmap. I realized we just flew through like almost half an hour there, man. That's I feel like we could talk for hours about this. You can tell how excited I am about your project. And thanks again for coming here on our talk show so we can introduce this to the rest of our community. But for as far as the roadmap goes, a couple things I wanted to talk about. We know we're doing the early alpha testing right now for very specific groups. Blu Ocean Games Guild is blessed to be one of those groups that's helping with you right now. When do you think we're going to get to maybe open alpha or beta? And of course, I'm sure these timelines are a little loose based on development and other things that come up. But what's coming out on the horizon for us? What are some things that people can start looking forward to down the road?
Yeah, the roadmap that we published is probably a little outdated now, but it kind of gives you a rough idea. But currently in the pipeline, we are perfecting the ship play. We've changed
Okay.
ships completely from when you played. So and then maybe in the
Oh,
next
wow.
3 to 4 weeks, you'll have like a little bit more of a different ship experience.
Okay,
Where
cool.
when you interact with the cannons and the helm, they're actually ship abilities, just like you have hero abilities. So that way, if you're on the cannon, you can cast a shield or shoot a harpoon or shoot the cannonball. We're gonna have like a ballista on the front of the ship that can hook onto ships in front of you and drag them in. And the captain
Okay.
has boost, and you have a boost bar. And then, like the reason why we're doing this is because when the ships were all equally like with no abilities, it was very difficult to catch up to one another, or like there was no element of skill. So now, like participating in the ship battles is like its own hero experience. where you have to have like a
That's
level of skill in your captain, and you have to have a level of skill in your ballista shooter, as well as your cannon guys who can cast shields to protect you guys. So really, ships are one of the current things being worked on. In the modeling side of the production, we've currently started our 3D models of our character skins. So now, like, these are actually the NFTs, right? These are our inaugural Genesis NFTs when it actually comes time. We're making them fully compatible for the game before we ever even show you the art. That way, when you
oh,
do buy the NFT, you know what you're getting right then and there. You know it works. Like when that day comes, it'll be really awesome. We have 4 characters in their first skins under production right now, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. It's obviously a big element to our game. You know, making everything fun and beautiful and piratey is really just kind of as it comes together. It's really exciting. For
nice.
those who don't know, one of our creative directors and one of our like art directors, his name is Bob Keel, and I think he's probably the best pirate artist in the world. If you go to bobkehl.com,
Mhm.
bobkehl.com, you can check out his portfolio, and you'll be like, oh damn, they had to get this guy for this pirate game. Like you'll see it, you'll see why.
That's awesome. Do we know when maybe a beta is planned down the road, or are you
Yeah,
guys just going to work on
I think
alpha?
the open beta will come in February or March.
Oh,
And at this
okay, good.
point, everything will be in the game except for certain NPCs and some questing that needs to be ironed out. But the PvP and treasure hunting, that will all be in the game, and to a point where you could test it. Beta will likely begin on like a scheduled like way, like anyone can come play, but at this time, because with PvP we need to have some sort of like, hot moments where everyone's on, because the game needs to have those early people who are willing to put in the time to make the servers fun. And I think doing it on a schedule will be probably the best way. So look to be February, March. We'll do some open to the public testing.
That's wicked. I'm really excited for that. Well, thanks so much for joining me today here, Mason. Like I said, I have had a ton of fun, and we only got our hands on it the first time there. So I'm looking forward to doing more play testing with you. Maybe we can have you on the Coffee and Crypto Talk Show down the road once we get some more developments going. We can kind of do a follow up. I'd absolutely love that. And of course, for everyone watching, all the links are going to be down in the bottom. Go follow these guys on Twitter. Psychedelic Gaming, that's their studio. Golden Tides, that's the game that they're working on. Also have the Discord links down there, and join us in our Discord. Come talk to us about this. If you guys maybe want to join in on one of our play nights where we're getting to do a test, definitely come say hi. This is something that we all fell in love with at first sight, and that's very rare. We're usually very critical on most Web3 games, and I think what you have is really special, Mason. So once again, thanks so much for joining us today. And of course, if you guys have any questions, definitely just leave them down in the comments below. And before I jump off, Mason, is there any last thing that you want to add just here before we tune out?
I do. I want to say thank you for having me, and thank you for all the kind words. I know I appreciate it, and I know my team is going to love to hear all of that. But I do have to say one thing about the Blue Ocean Guild, and you guys are probably the most thorough and like smartest analysis people I've seen in Web3 gaming. I mean, you guys could
Appreciate
obviously
that.
be in any industry doing this, but like if anyone hasn't seen like what these guys are doing and like their very detail oriented analysis of games, you guys should check them out, definitely, for sure.
Appreciate that, man. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much. And I look forward to having you on the show down the road. And until
Yep.
next time, everyone, cheers.
Later.